Hello. Today, I want us to look at 18 tips on how to use a writing board. This is your presenter, Dr. Kibet, from the Center for Open Distance and E-Learning, Machakos University. What is a writing board? A writing board, or a whiteboard, or a blackboard for that matter, is a material or a tool that is used in the classroom to support students' learning. I want us to differentiate between a blackboard and a whiteboard. A blackboard is a hard and smooth board with a dark surface on which you can write and draw using chalk, while a whiteboard is a board with a smooth white surface on which you can write and draw using dry erasable pens. Do you have a blackboard or a whiteboard? Whatever type of board you have in your classroom, it is important to know how to use it. Now, in this section, I want us to discuss how to use a blackboard or a whiteboard. And the following are ways of using it. 1, an uninterrupted view of the board. Your students should have a clear and uninterrupted view of the board. So as you use it, be careful that you don't block learners sitting at the sides of the room. When you write something on the board, move away quickly so that students can see what you have written. Number 2, eyes at the back of your head. Develop the ability to write on the board with eyes in the back of your head, especially when you are dealing with young learners. Don't turn your back on the class for too long. Good teachers have the ability to write on the board while still keeping a sharp eye on their students. Number 3, write clearly. Write clearly on the board and make sure that you have written words or texts big enough for everyone to see from the back of the class. With chalk and blackboard, make sure that you wash the board often so that the writing stays clear. With a whiteboard, make sure that the pen you are using is in a color that everyone can read. Number 4, practice writing in a straight line across the board. Do this particularly if you have students who are not used to Roman script. In some languages, letters may look slightly different, or handwriting styles may be different. Point out the differences to your students and make sure they can read clearly what you have written. Number 5, check what you write as you write. Many students have visual memories, so we must be careful about accuracy of spelling and grammar, especially if we intend students to copy it down in their notebooks to learn. 6, check with your students that they are ready for you to clean the board. If you are waiting for some students to finish copying or doing an exercise, don't leave the others twiddling their thumbs. Ask them to make a personalized examples or start the warm-up for the next exercise orally. 7, it is a good idea to divide your board into sections. Have one part for use during the lesson, which can be cleaned off and reused. Use another part for important information which can stay there for the whole lesson. 8, important information. For older learners, you could write up other important information, key grammar points or vocabulary needed for the lesson, or test dates, etc. With very young learners, it is better to write this kind of information at the top of the board. Leave the lower part empty for you and the students to write on. Remember, they probably won't be able to reach the top half of the board. Number 9, use your board to provide records of new words, structures, how a word is used, or brainstorm new vocabulary with the class in a spidergram. With more advanced classes, you can provide a record of a class discussion or give help with planning for writings, e.g. for exam tasks. Number 10, try to encourage students to come out to the board to choose or select, order, or describe pictures. All of this will make your classroom more interactive and avoid too much teacher talking time. 11, display materials. You can display other items such as authentic materials, for example, maps, adverts, photos, as well as learners' own work. Remember that you don't have to stick to the board. 12, use a clean board. As a class teacher, make sure that you wash the board often so that the writing stays clear. Write clearly on the board and make sure that you have written words, text big enough for everyone to see from the last bench of the class. Also, be mindful of the color of the chalk or the ink you are using. Number 13, organize your board. It's a good idea to divide your board into sections. One section of the board can be used to writing important information that can stay there the entire day. 14, use the blackboard to acknowledge to students that their comments have been heard. Simply capturing what they say and putting it up for all to see is one great way of celebrating students' voices. Make sure you organize those ideas and link them together. Otherwise, it will look like a long laundry list. 15, reinforce instruction. The board can be used to reinforce instructions and build a culture in the classroom. Remember, the board is your voice and you have to make the optimum use of it while giving instructions, feedback, and examples. Number 16, interactive space. Use the board as an interactive space to display posters, flashcards, relevant teaching resources, and students' work. And 17, use the board to bring the class together. When we digress too much from the concept, or if the discussion gets too diffuse, a quick way to focus it is to go to the board and highlight almost any piece that would be useful to the discussion. And finally, a thought or a quote. It is not necessary to write a thought of the day or quotes on the board. It takes up a lot of space, and most of the time, children don't know what they are supposed to do with it. Have a separate section in the classroom for that. And that marks the end of our discussion, where we've been looking at 18 tips on how to use a writing board. If you like my video, kindly subscribe. You can like or even share it with a friend. Thank you.